Good evening, it's 7:01, so I guess we can get started. First off, I wanted to know if we had anybody from the Budget Committee here tonight. They were invited. Okay, so I guess not. They're on strike. So without further ado, oh, you are? Are you?
Oh, you running?
No, but are you running?
Are you a candidate?
Are you a budget?
Election?
Oh, you know,
You already know.
the candidates were invited.
And I guess we'll start with Chip because he's over there, so he'll be the first one. So we'll start off with the introductory round, which is where they introduce themselves however they want to. It's 3 minutes in length. And if they get down to the end of the 3 minutes, I'll put my hand up at 15 minutes, and then I'll put my hand up and count 15 seconds. And then I'll count down from 5 seconds down. But I don't have any problem like that. So without further ado, Chip. Chip Harlow.
I'm going to put that down so I got a pretty loud voice. Otherwise this will be too loud. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Want to just kind of give you a brief background. Married, I have 2 adult children, and I've lived here for about 20 years, give or take a year. The reason I'm running is I think I'm uniquely qualified for selectmen. I have experience in the food and restaurant business, where I've managed several restaurants and with basically full profit and loss responsibility of those restaurants, and obviously managing all the people in the restaurants. So I have managerial experience. I've also managed a union shop. So if any of you that are involved in unions, you know that there's some special characteristics of a union that you have to abide by in order to manage those kind of shops. I was 10 years in the active duty in the Navy. When I left, I was a chief petty officer in charge of the Department of Technicians. And currently, I've been a financial advisor for the past 16 years, managing assets for families and small businesses. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in finance, so you can kind of say I'm kind of a numbers guy, and yes I am. And I've been on the Budget Committee in the past, as well as I'm currently on the Budget Committee. I have no conflicts of interest. The one that's kind of a conflict is I am on the Budget Committee, and I would step down from the Budget Committee if so elected. And while I was talking about conflicts of interest, I can only say that I would hope that the other candidates would also make the same pledge that they will step down from any conflicts that they might have with being a selectman. Conflicts of interest have caused this town some deep financial pain recently, as you'll probably be able to notice from some referendum items that you'll be voting on. That's important to me. I honestly think that there should have been a referendum item this year about conflicts of interest. I know it happened in the past. It was done for some different reasons back then, more of a political ploy than anything else. I would really want to push, whether I get elected or not, I'm really going to push for a meaningful, fair conflict of interest policy that helps protect us, the taxpayers and the residents of Lebanon. But it also will need to have teeth so it can be enforceable. I also feel there's a need for proper financial management here in the town. I think we've made a great step in the right direction, hiring a new treasurer. But again, you need to have checks and balances in place to prevent some of the things that happened with the rescue account in the past. Full disclosure to the people and communications, I think, are vital. We're getting better. Some of these monthly town meetings, I wish more people attended, but it's a great attempt to get some communications out to the people. People already actually voted on videotaping, but yet because of the wording, it never happened. And I don't know where the referendum item is. You would have thought there would have been one to update that. I've taken it upon myself to start doing some videotaping, so hopefully you're there. One more second. I'd like to also work, any new ordinances, I think they need to work with the taxpayers and small businesses, not jamming them down their throats. That means having a public hearing, not after the fact, but before the fact. So you bring them in, get that input, and really use that input to do that.
Thank you.
Lastly, let's try to keep our taxes low. Thank you.
Yep, Royce.
Thank you, Harrison. Hello, everybody. I'm Royce Heath. I guess it's pretty well known around that I'm running for office here in town. I don't have a bunch of, what do I want to say, in a big agenda, other than the one that says, what you people tell me you want is what I'm going to be working for. And you say that by voting. That's about it. I pretty well got things described in my sheet that I handed out earlier today. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
Quick. Hi, I'm Karina Cole. I also have a background over there, but when preparing for candidates night, I asked myself, what makes me different than the other candidates? Other than the fact I'm a woman, we actually have a lot in common. We all lived in Lebanon for a fair amount of time. We have been volunteers or served others in one capacity or another. We want to keep our taxes as low as possible. And all three of us need your vote. Having the right person in the selectman's office should not be a popularity contest. It's not about who has lived in the town the longest, who knows the most people, has the most resources, or has the best education, or even who you are not related to. And although it's nice to know a person's background, the most important thing to consider when voting is what that person wants for the future of your town. I'm going to turn the tables and ask the voters to do your homework before voting in June. What makes your candidate better? What does the candidate you are voting for want to accomplish for the town of Lebanon? Will that make a better future for you or generations to come? Reach out to the candidates and ask them questions. Voice your concerns. We want to know what you want from us. Call us. We should all be in the phone book. I know I am. So, Lebanon, though, needs to put some systems in place that will allow our town to run more effectively and to create a brighter future for all. If elected, I would work to put three major changes in place. The first one I'm currently working on is the Town of Lebanon's Comprehensive Plan. This is a valuable document that allows a town to know where they stand on current issues and will ultimately map out a suggested plan for the future, based on information gathered for the next 10 to 30 years. This will be followed by putting systems and ordinances on the ballot to assure that these suggested plans are indeed what the voters want. The second is a town manager. I honestly never wanted to run for selectman until there was a town manager in place, because running a town as large as Lebanon is a huge job, especially for just 3 people on a part-time basis. Just ask any of our current selectmen. And putting a town manager will give us a person who is accessible on a full-time basis, educated to run a town. While it may seem to be a huge expense, a good town manager would more than pay for themselves in what they would be able to bring us in savings and potential grants. Major issues would less likely slip through the cracks like we just experienced if there was an overseer of everyday issues. A town manager is hired and can also be fired for our selectmen. The third change involves Selectman Paul Philbrick's wonderful notions of delving into the ordinances in the past and organizing them. Let's take this idea a step further and put an official committee in place and create a town charter, allowing us to put systems of checks and balances in place that we have sorely needed for many years. So please do your homework and know why you're voting for the person you want to be Lebanon's next selectman. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're just going to have a short round of audience questions. And I gave people slips of paper when they came in. If they thought they might want to have a question, I'm going to draw one. And then if you're drawn, then you're welcome to ask a question of the collective group of candidates, or you can. I want to do this until I feel Donahue. You can do it, you can do that, or you can ask a specific selectman, and then they'll have 2 minutes to answer, and then the other two will also have 2 minutes. And we'll see if we can get a couple done. Would you just draw a piece of paper? And let me see. And the number is 2.
It's mine. I'll just pass for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Double duty. And the number is 5. Okay, so you're welcome to ask a question. You can ask a 2-part question, but after you ask a question, then I'll take the mic back and give it to them to answer.
Well, I want to ask Green, I want to question what you said about a town manager. You just mentioned he can get grants. I mean, I don't want to vote for somebody that maybe he can get grants. Supposing we hire a town manager, he doesn't get grants. That's all. That's all I'm hearing.
They are educated.
Okay, thank you.
They're educated to be able to, yeah, to be able to write grants
Well,
and would, I'm sure, apply for as many grants as we would be eligible for.
Okay, thank you. Chip, would you respond to that?
Sure, I guess, grant writing is not, I don't see grant writing as the primary reason for a general manager, for a town manager. That's only one of the avenues. He may or may not be able to get grants, over time, so I would not look at that as a justification for hiring a town manager. A town manager is what that is. He manages the town, and we have consistent management year after year after year, rather than the way it has been running now for umpteen million years, where it all depends on who comes in as to what happens. So I'm in favor of town manager, but not for writing grants, it's for running the town properly.
Thank you. And Royce, would you care to respond to that, or sure?
Personally, I totally disagree with the town manager at this time. I think we just be teaching, we would be educating a town manager just so they could go to work for some other town. Because we wouldn't be offering them a lot of money to do this job to start with. The kind of money it would cost to get someone with experience. That's about it.
Thank you. And now, let's see. Hey there. Hi. And this is number 9. Okay. You want the microphone or just?
No, that's fine. Can you all hear me? Thanks. This is for all of you. I've been a taxpayer for many, many years in this town, and the biggest gripe I have is the conditions of the roads, year-round. Not just winter, not just spring, but year-round. It was a standing joke that if people could make it to my garage for a lot of years, they'd get a sticker. The roads were that bad. About 8 years ago, I complained so much to the selectmen that we had at that time that finally they band-aided my road and just put a skin coat on the top and kind of sealed up the cracks and the crevices, and now it's right back to where it was. What is your plan to fix this and fix it properly, instead of just band-aiding the things that this town has done for a long time?
Thank you. And Francis, you started the last round, and Chip, I'll ask you to start this round. Answer.
Okay, great question. I don't think this town has enough money for all the road repairs that need to be done. You can put, I mean, the budget is what, close to $1 million right now for the roads, and and look what that's been getting us. 900, 800,000 a year, and we're barely able to maintain what we've got. Never mind trying to keep up with it. So there's a couple of different things. You've got to either give some more money Because again, roads, tar, that's oil, all those prices have gone up. So the cost of materials is up, so that costs money. So that's really a town thing, where you want to put more money into the road budget to do it. Now, I'm not a road guy. I don't know, that's also why the town hires a road commissioner. Do I know if he's doing it right? I don't know. Some people will tell you he's not, some people will tell you he is, some people will tell you that they do one road, but they never put the following year, I guess they're supposed to put another coat on it, and then they don't do it, and so that road ends up cracking too early, and then it's ruined. So, I hear there's not, so again, if I know those information and we have the right people in place, then maybe we can do roads correctly, so that they last a little bit longer than they currently last. But it does take money, it does take the right people doing that. Roads is always a big issue. FEMA money, we're using FEMA money towards something else this year. That could have gone back to the roads. Do you know what I'm saying? And it was sitting in the account for a while. So that should have been on the roads already. That should have been sitting there for a couple of years before we decided, hey, we got a use for this $200,000. That should have been on the roads. Because we know that's primarily where that money came, what budget that money came out of, that was replacing those roads. So there's some of those things that I can do as a selectman. Do you know what I'm saying? But how the roads are done is a road commissioner issue, and those are the big questions. When you hire a road commissioner, that ought to be asked is his qualifications and how he's going to do those roads to make sure they maintain, and then the other part of that question is money. I don't really have an answer, but that's the best.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Chip. Royce?
Thank you. First of all, Chip, I do believe we have a elected road commissioner in town. And as far as the selectman's office goes, the way I understand it, it should be that the selectmen see to it that the money that's voted for the roads in town gets to the road commissioner to be spent on.
Royce, if you would address the audience, please.
I'm so sorry. But being that's an elected position, that's also something that the people of Lebanon have said, that they believe that the person they elected is best qualified to make these decisions on roads. I agree, sometimes we do need a lot more in town. We need to put a lot more money into the roads. That's the only way they get fixed. But we also have a lot of other items too that are important to the folks in town. That's my speech.
Thank you, Royce.
Going back to the comprehensive plan, there is a section in that for transportation, and there would be suggestions for a 10 to 20-year plan on how to improve the roads. And if it is passed and it's what people want, it's possible that a capital improvement plan could be put in place.
Okay, thank you. And this is number 1. Would you like the mic or no?
No, I think everybody can hear me. This is for all three of you. I would like to know where you would like to see our town be in 3 years.
Royce, will you be the first one this time on this
So
round?
you asked where we would like to see the town being or meeting. I didn't understand.
To be.
To be.
As a select person, if you are elected.
For me, that's easy. You folks tell me where you want it, where you want it to be. Tell me with your votes.
And Corinna?
It's your.
Oh, I'm sorry.
your time. I'm sorry.
Are you done,
No,
Royce?
that's okay. I've been keeping it short. I'm sorry. That's it.
All right, Corinna?
In 3 years, I would hope that there are some more checks and balances in place to help the government run more smoothly. Whatever the people decide those checks and balances are, it's up to you. I mean, we can put things on the ballot and try to make suggestions, but ultimately it is the choice of people. But definitely some systems and changes need to be made to help things run more smoothly.
Thank you.
3 years. Certainly, I like to see some improvements within town government, but people don't tend to see that. That's more internal, and you're not gonna see that proper management. I like to see the rescue department vibrant again. It was vibrant at one point, because of the upheaval and the change of management and everything else. It's trying to reorganize itself again. It's got a good start, but I'd like to see that vibrant again. I'd like to see the community more vibrant and more involved. I think they're trying to put together a carnival, a festival. I'd like to see that a success. I'd actually like to see more involvement in these things, in the monthly meetings. I don't know how to get there. That's always because we can't force people to go. But I think if we can get the information out there and make it so it seems like it's worth their while to come, hopefully they will eventually come. 3 years is kind of a short time. It may seem long to some people, but sometimes it's a short time to get some changes in place. But if we can at least start on that road, that's what I like to see.
Thank you, Chief. And this is number 7.
I have a question.
You don't, okay. You don't want to learn. Number 10. You don't need the microphone, do you?
She got the line.
I know, I'm excited. I'd like to ask all three of you, tell me why you want to be selected and tell me why I should vote for you.
I'm lost now. Where we start with? Corinna?
Well, basically, I love Lebanon, and I hate to see things in turmoil, and I love to solve problems, and I think I would be a great candidate and be able to help move the town in a positive direction.
Thank you. Chip?
I want to be selected because I honestly believe I can make a difference. I think I'm qualified. I have no agendas. I'm not doing it for this reason. I work in Portland. I think I have the time to do it. And I think it needs my help. I think it needs some of the expertise that I have that I can bring to the table. And I enjoy a challenge. So I think I can make a difference, and that's what I'm doing.
Thank you, Chip. And Royce?
Oh, pretty much everything my constituents have said. And most important to me is to see to it that everybody that votes in this town has a chance to speak to someone in that office and also maybe help out. That's it.
All right, I'll ask one question, if you don't mind. My question is, what is the first thing you'll do in a manner of policy or whatnot? What would be your first pet policy that you would want to get in place or work to get in place, if you were elected? And I guess we'll start with Chip.
First policy I'd like to get in place is conflict of interest. I think I said that on the introduction, and I think that is huge. I really feel strongly about that. I've felt strongly about that for years. I think it needs to be done, but it needs to be also done right. And conflicts of interest in a small town is tough because you don't have a lot of people. A lot of people don't volunteer. So you have a lot of the same names and there may be conflicts. But I think we really need it because it's gotten us into trouble in the past and certainly in the very recent past.
Okay, thank you. And the first thing you do, Royce?
Well, I think the thing I'd like to try to do is a little bit different than my constituents. Yes, we need to do all these things that have, all the issues that we've got going on in town, they have to be dealt with and all that. But I feel, well, maybe I'll just read out this little big handout I passed out. Royce feels that our older citizens should not have to fear losing their home due to monetary matters such as these in these times we have in a little bit town. His aim is to get property taxes lowered by 50% for those who are 70 years or older. They lived in their house for 20 years prior to that, and obviously have paid taxes and town. Just give the older folks a little bit of a break there at a time when they need it, because they're already on fixed income a lot of times. And you never know, that's a few years after you've retired. Sometimes things come along and make life a little difficult. And this might be a way that would help folks out. That's it. That's it.
Thank you. And
A policy that I would like to have put in place would be to have the public meetings videotaped and available to all citizens. To help to actually help promote the transparency of the government and to keep people involved and know what's going on.
okay, thank you. I think we have 4 more minutes. If the panel wouldn't mind asking the audience if anyone has another question, just raise your hand. Yes, go ahead, Rebecca.
In my experience, working on a committee is very different than being a manager. What experience do you have working on a committee or committees?
And I think we start with Royce.
Okay. I'm probably the one with the least amount of experience working on committees. I did, however, run my own business. I've dealt with a lot of people. I guess that's about it. I don't have much for complicated answers.
Joanna?
I too have owned my own business, and I've actually done a lot of networking with other business owners. I belong to a group called BNI, Business Networking International, and I served as the president and actually grew a chapter to more than 21 members, from 9 members within a year. So recruiting and building an organization. And also I've worked as a store manager. I've worked at a Signorama, which is a sign company in Portsmouth. So I have managed people. And also worked for a company in Garnick that I managed smaller staff, but 4 people. So I've had some managerial experience, not just working on my own business, but I've also done that, so I know what it's like to try to make ends meet.
Chip?
You asked about committees, correct?
Right.
I've been on the budget committee. I was on the budget committee for about 6 years back in '07, give or take, on the other side of 2007. I'm on the budget committee now. Back then I was on it, and then I actually was up to the board chair as well, and now I'm just a member of the budget committee. I was on a previous comprehensive plan committee as well. I've been in several committees, whether it be in the Navy, whether it be in private sector life before now. I'm not much as a financial advisor. I'm not really on any committees in that regard. And as far as leadership goes, I've been a manager, like I said, of restaurants with hire and fire authority, as well as my practice management.
Okay, thank you guys very much. I think I don't have to worry about ever trying to think of any questions myself. I think the questions from the audience have been fantastic. Okay, her first, then you. Yeah, go ahead. No, she said you go ahead.
Who's first?
She said she deferred to you.
I can go with your way to go. Royce brought up the fact that he felt it would be good to be able to decrease the tax impact on us senior citizens. Who's going to pick up the slack in revenue? Is that going to be the younger family people? And I guess the other question is that legal to do that?
Well, that's something that's got to be looked into.
I'm sorry.
I say that's something we need to look into to make sure it can be done. As far as who would pick up the amount, well, that's why I just put it out here is for people to look over. Yes, it would be spread throughout whoever's paying taxes. It would be spread through the tax base. But as to the amount, I think that folks in town ought to decide what that would be, if they even want this. It's possible, that the voters in this town might say, no, we're really not interested. Or they might tell me over the next year or so what they would like to have, and we'll put it in as an article. Do you have any other questions, Woody?
Okay. Thank you, Royce. Now, did you have a question too?
She had my question.
Oh, she had your question, okay.
Are we allowed to respond to that as well?
If you'd like to, yes.
Legality, I have no idea whether that's even legal. I think I feel for seniors. I have seniors that I manage assets for, and you're right, a lot of them live on a fixed income. If you look at interest rates, they're like really, really low right now. So they're not getting a lot of income, and I feel for them. But to have other people have to pay their share based on their properties, I don't think is also fair. So there's a fairness across everybody, and I think you have to treat everybody fair. I don't know of any other town here in Maine that has that strategy. Does that make it wrong? No. But I don't, again, it's not fair. It's based on property values. So if you cut something, you got to come up with the revenues from someplace else. I certainly don't want my taxes up. So, and all the younger people here, I probably don't want their taxes to go up. So I think it's, you go based on fairness is the right way to go. Is the evaluation. That's about as fair as we can get. So that's my opinion.
Thank you, Chip. Just one second.
May I just make
I just want to let Corinna have a chance to respond to what Royce had said and Chip had remarked on and commented on. Corinna, did you want to say anything about that policy?
I can see where he's coming from. It would be nice to let the senior citizens have a 50% discount, and those are the ones that are voters, so why not make that pledge to the voters? But I don't see where the town at this point could pick it up either. It would be to the other 60 or 70% of the voters would have to pick up that amount.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, ma'am, did you have another question?
Could I make a comment?
Yeah, sure.
About that issue? Probably about 2 or 3 years ago, there was some talk about doing something in this town along those lines to help seniors stay in their homes and give them a break on their taxes. The town of Bitterford does this. Now, I realize that they're a lot bigger than we are, but what they do is they allow the seniors to volunteer and to commit to doing something for the town in lieu of paying those taxes. And it certainly was not 50%. I do not remember at this time what the percentage rate was, but it was very fair for all involved.
Okay, thank you. Okay, one final question from the audience, or are we all questioned out? Okay. All right, so we'll just wrap up now with just a conclusion. Here's your last shot to convince the voters that are here and also that will be watching this tomorrow. And we'll have 3 minutes, but you don't have to speak for 3 minutes if you don't want to. And who knows where we start? Let's see. We start with, I believe, Corinna.
Okay. Again, please, even to the people that are watching the video, please do your homework. Reach out to the candidates, find out what their plans are, ask them questions, and find out how they feel on important issues that are important to you. So, and as always, I'd like to have your vote on June 10th.
Thank you. Chip?
Not much to add. Again, I think I'm qualified for the job. I want the job. I think I can make a difference. I'm Chip Harlow. I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
And Royce?
Well, it looks like I'm the last one. Obviously, there was a little bit of interest in what I've offered here on the tax break. I'll be glad to talk to anyone on an individual basis, or if your group before the election would like to have me come in, please call me. My phone number is on that sheet that I handed out, and it's also available. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, and how about a nice round for our candidates?
Lebanon Voice, thank you for coming out. Have a great night, and thank you all.